Helen of Troy is one of the most captivating figures in ancient Greek mythology, often described as the face that launched 1,000 ships. Her beauty was so extraordinary that it sparked one of the most devastating wars in history, the Trojan War. But was Helen merely a victim of circumstance, or was she a cunning player in the great drama of betrayal and power? This is a story that transcends myth and touches on themes of love, loyalty, and the dangerous allure of beauty. The origin of Helen of Troy, often celebrated as the most beautiful woman in history, was a figure whose origins were steeped in divine intervention, myth, and a deep intertwining of human and celestial realms. Her life was marked from the very beginning as extraordinary. Born of Zeus, the king of the gods, and Leda, a mortal queen of Sparta, Helen's beauty was said to be unmatched, something sculpted by the gods themselves. This union between Zeus and Leda was shrouded in the fantastical, as the stories claim Zeus transformed into a majestic swan to seduce the queen. Whether this was an act of love or trickery, the resulting offspring, Helen, was no ordinary child. Some myths even go further, describing her birth from a radiant egg, symbolizing her unique duality of divine and human origins. From a young age, Helen's presence was almost ethereal. Her beauty was so profound that it became both her greatest gift and her heaviest burden. Her radiance captivated everyone who encountered her, drawing kings, warriors, and even gods to her side. Men journeyed from far and wide to seek her hand in marriage. The great halls of Sparta echoed with the footsteps of suitors like Odysseus, Ajax, and Menelaus, each vying for her favor. This fervor for Helen's love was not merely an appreciation of her appearance, but a desire to claim a piece of what was considered divine perfection. Helen's mortal father, Tyndareus, recognized the danger her allure posed. He feared that selecting a husband for her would ignite chaos, potentially leading to a war between her suitors. To avoid conflict, he proposed an ingenious solution, the oath of Tyndareus. This binding pact required all suitors to swear allegiance to Helen's chosen husband, vowing to protect him against any future threats. The oath was a clever attempt to ensure peace, but in retrospect, it laid the groundwork for the Trojan War, a conflict that would claim thousands of lives. Menelaus, a prince of Sparta and the brother of the powerful king Agamemnon, was ultimately chosen as Helen's husband. Their union seemed to solidify stability, and Helen, now queen, appeared content in her new role. However, the seeds of chaos were already sown. The gods, ever entwined in mortal affairs, were not finished with Helen. Her beauty, unparalleled and almost otherworldly, was a ticking time bomb, destined to ignite one of the most epic and tragic wars in history. The abduction or elopement, the defining moment that led to the Trojan War, was Helen's departure from Sparta, an event that remained shrouded in mystery and controversy. The tale begins with Paris, the dashing prince of Troy, who was thrust into a divine contest of vanity. When Eris, the goddess of discord, threw a golden apple inscribed with "to the fairest," a dispute arose among three powerful goddesses, Hera, Athena, and Aphrodite. Paris, chosen as the judge, was promised unparalleled rewards by each goddess. Hera offered political power, Athena promised wisdom and victory in battle, but Aphrodite dangled the ultimate prize, the love of the world's most beautiful woman, Helen. When Paris arrived in Sparta under the guise of a diplomatic mission, sparks flew between him and Helen. Was it love at first sight or the manipulation of Aphrodite's divine charm? Accounts differ, but what is certain is that their bond was undeniable. Some versions of the story suggest that Helen was enchanted by Aphrodite, compelled to fall for Paris against her will. Other interpretations paint Helen as a willing participant, drawn to Paris's youth, charm, and the promise of a new life in Troy. Either way, their union was a seismic event. Under the cover of night, Helen and Paris fled Sparta, boarding a ship destined for Troy. The betrayal was both personal and political. Menelaus, devastated and enraged, returned home to find his wife's chambers empty, her belongings gone. This act of perceived treachery was not merely a blow to Menelaus's pride, it was an affront to all of Greece. The suitor's oath was invoked, and soon, a massive coalition of Greek forces rallied to retrieve Helen and restore honor to Menelaus. Helen's departure raises profound questions about agency, loyalty, and the complexities of love. Was she a pawn in the gods' games, or did she act out of her own desires, seeking freedom from a life she didn't choose? The ambiguity of her actions, whether she was a victim or a willing participant, continues to fuel debate and intrigue. Helen in Troy, a villain or a pawn? Helen's arrival in Troy marked the beginning of a decade-long saga that would reshape the ancient world. To the Trojans, she was both a blessing and a curse. Her beauty captivated the people of Troy, solidifying her position as a prized figure in the royal court. But her presence also brought tension. The Greeks, united under Menelaus and Agamemnon, launched a full-scale invasion to retrieve Helen, laying siege to Troy in a war that would last 10 brutal years. Helen's role during this time is a subject of deep ambiguity. In Homer's Iliad, she is portrayed as a remorseful figure, lamenting the destruction her beauty has caused. She weaves tapestries that depict the horrors of war, her eyes filled with sorrow as she watches the bloodshed unfold from the safety of Troy's walls. Yet other accounts depict her as a cunning manipulator, fully aware of the chaos she has unleashed and using her charm to influence both Greeks and Trojans to her advantage. Despite the destruction, Helen's allure remained intact. Even as the city burned and the Trojan people suffered, she was seen as both a victim of circumstance and a symbol of betrayal. When Troy finally fell, Menelaus found Helen and, to the surprise of many, chose to take her back. The reasons for this decision remain unclear. Was it love, forgiveness, or a recognition of her unparalleled beauty and its value in the ancient world? Helen's duality, as both a symbol of divine beauty and human frailty, has immortalized her story. Helen's legacy, beauty, betrayal, and immortality. The story of Helen of Troy did not end with the fall of the city or her return to Sparta. Her legacy continued to echo throughout history, literature, and art. Helen became the ultimate symbol of beauty and its perilous power. Poets like Homer immortalized her in epics, while playwrights such as Euripides explored her moral complexities, portraying her as both a goddess-like figure and a tragic pawn. Over centuries, artists painted her as the epitome of allure, her image gracing countless canvases and sculptures. Yet, her tale raises deeper questions that transcend time. What is the cost of beauty? How much agency did Helen truly have in a world dominated by gods and men? Some modern interpretations reframe her story, casting her as a feminist icon trapped in a patriarchal narrative, while others view her as a cautionary tale about desire and its consequences. Regardless of interpretation, Helen remains an enduring figure, a reminder that even legends are often shrouded in shades of grey. Her story challenges us to see beyond the surface and question the true nature of power, love, and betrayal.